Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick and I'm here with Lieutenant Fallon Hurst, and this is Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Fallon.
Hello, John.
So, let's take a look at what you guys did last week.
You got 2 new ones, up to 5,189, thanks to viewers like you.
5,189 of people calling in from the community. Now, sheriff's offices are like historically community policing.
We are.
On steroids,
Yep,
right?
well, that's the way we're designed.
That's the way that they're designed. So people should call you just about any time, right?
If they need us, don't hesitate to call us. Remember that we care about you. We're part of the community. We want to take care of you. So if you need us, call us.
And you can call 911 or you can call the sheriff's office directly at
256-236-6600.
And the sheriff always likes to say, if you want a deputy,
Call us and you'll get one.
that's correct. Regardless of your jurisdiction, call us
That's right.
and you will get a deputy. And in a minute, you're going to get to visit with a really special guest and the first half of our lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Sponsor for this first half of the lineup is Abe's Ace Bail Bonds. Abe's Ace Bail Bonding, 256-831-0074. First up this week, Jerry Smith Jr. Mr. Smith, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a probation revocation for use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Eleonora Williams. Miss Williams, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana first. And meet Lisa Chappelle. Miss Chappelle, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted on a failure to appear on theft of property third. And this is Carlton Levitt. Mr. Levitt, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana first. And take a look at Brandy Blankenship. Miss Blankenship, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance ×2. And that's it for the first half of the lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup that you know where they are. And if you do, call Fallon Hurst. You call, he hauls. We are here with our old friend Susan Shipman,
Hello.
Executive Director of Second Chance.
Yes, thank you.
Good to have you back. We had you like a couple of weeks ago.
It was,
Yeah.
yes.
So here we are again, and April is a special month.
It is. It's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We're aware of sexual assault on a daily basis, but we like to get the community involved in April. In April, we wear teal.
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 Teal. We had this conversation about teal.
We did, and we didn't come to any great conclusion
No, we didn't.
on that. So I think that's
But
subjective.
did we talk about how teal became the color for sexual abuse?
We did not, and you're not really going to ask me that because I don't know.
Okay, so somebody picked that color.
Somebody did.
It is a soothing color.
Indeed.
So I would suppose that would be better. So now, you talk about wanting to get the community involved in this. So how can the community get involved in sexual assault awareness?
Thank you. We have had many events already this month inviting the community to participate with us, and we will be having the 11th annual Journey for Hope on Saturday, April the 15th, and we'll be at Chocolaca Park from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I forgot to talk about that the last time I was here.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have T-shirts for sale, this and some other versions of T-shirts in our inventory. And rumor has it we're going to have some breakfast available. There will be bottles of water and coffee, I think. So
this seems kind of nebulous. Now, you're the director of Second Chance, and Fallon is on your board. I would think the two of you could make this decision right here if there's going to be breakfast or not.
Susan will tell me if there's going to be breakfast. Usually the board keeps the director in line, but it's the opposite with Second Chance. The director keeps the board in line.
I think we're getting a donation from restaurant in the community, and that's where the breakfast thing is. So count on that. We'll make it
So if we
happen
said their
some
name
way
right
or
now,
another.
that would embarrass them into definitely
It
contributing.
could, so I'm just going to keep that.
You're not going to do that. Okay,
No,
that's
I'm
fine.
not.
Well, that's all right.
Yes,
We'll
thank
talk
you.
about them the next time you're on.
We
and
can.
thank
We'll
them.
thank them exactly.
Very good.
Exactly,
Or
yes.
we will mention that they didn't, and we'll
Shame them.
shame them
Yes.
poorly,
Okay.
because
yeah,
I think they
we try
should.
to not do that to anyone.
So, Chakalaka Park, for those of our viewers who may not know where Chakalaka Park, because it is fairly new in the last few years, where is it?
Has it only been a few years? It's in Oxford on
Leon Smith
Thomas
Park. Leon Smith Parkway.
Smith Parkway.
Who's
Leon
Leon
Thomas?
Thomas? Good old
Sorry, Leon
Leon
Smith, sorry.
Smith.
We've not
Sorry,
built
yes.
Thomas's Parkway
Yeah.
yet.
No, we haven't.
And it's an amazing park, really. It's got some fantastic ball fields where people come to Oxford to play games because of the facility. And so we'll be doing a ceremonial walk around the walking track, just recognizing the survival of victims of sexual assault. And we hope you'll join us. It's usually a good time.
So, how many people about usually do this walk?
We had horrible weather last year, as I recall, so there were like 12 of us, but usually it's 50, 75 people that come together and do this ceremonial walk with us.
I think it's going to be a little rainy on Saturday as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If there's not lightning, it will be okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be good. The
We'll be
board will
there.
be there, won't they, Fallon?
Yeah, if we don't, she'll get on to us.
That's correct. The board should be there.
You can only miss so many events before you, yeah.
And you can stand under the little tent
There's a pavilion, yes.
and drink coffee and eat breakfast biscuits.
Yes, somebody's coffee and somebody's
Somebody's
breakfast
breakfast, yeah, okay.
biscuits, yes.
Now, the walk is for anybody who wants to participate. It's not necessarily the participants or survivors of sexual assault, is that right?
Correct, yes, but we will have survivors there as well. I attended an event last week where a survivor told her story, and it was really intense, and she did an awesome job. You know, just getting through that yourself is a huge thing, and then being able to relate that to other people, you know, in front of an audience is enormous, and sometimes is cathartic in that recovery.
Yeah, and trauma, you know, we're just now in the last decade or so understand trauma better. But Fallon, from the law enforcement side, you know, survivors of sexual assault, not only sometimes do they have to survive the physical assault, but they may end up getting kind of caught up in the legal system. Some go to jail, is that right? So,
Yeah, they do.
I mean, that's a tragedy for everybody, and law enforcement's typical response 50 years ago is different than it is today. Can you
It is.
speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, we have a pretty good system now. We try to take care of the needs of everyone involved. So we have specially trained investigators that deal with these things, and then we have victim services officers at the courts that will help the victims through it and connect them with the resources like Second Chance or other things to make sure that they're getting any counseling or housing needs that they may have.
Right, and so law enforcement tries not to intrude too far into the victim's story,
Yeah.
rather leave that to trained investigators, right?
Yeah, it's a delicate thing, especially when you get into dealing with children, which is another show. But yeah, we try not to damage them the best we can and keep their situation as private as we can.
Because it's traumatic.
It is.
And sometimes, so the part of the problem, isn't it that the victims don't often report in a timely manner?
That can be, you know, there's a lot of guilt and shame involved in sexual assault, as if there's something that I did to cause that to happen, to be done to me. And so reporting is challenging. You know, we know that if a sexual assault victim wants to report and wants to participate in the forensic exam, doing it within 72 hours is really best practice, so that there is still evidence to be collected. Doing it right after the event is going to produce better evidence because it will be fresher. But even if the victim has already gone home, cleaned up, eaten, slept, whatever, and 3 days later says, I need to do this, then they can still have the forensic exam done, but that's still an option. I think a lot of victims don't realize that they don't even have to do that. You know, if they present at a hospital emergency room for treatment, they do not have to participate in a forensic exam. Or they can have the forensic exam done in a Jane Doe way, so that it's got a number on it, but it doesn't have their name on it. They don't think they want to do anything about it except live through it. And
but if they decide they want to prosecute later, then we have it.
Exactly, the evidence is there.
Well, that's important. And we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll talk more about Second Chance and their programs and what's coming up. And we'll have the second half of the lineup here for you on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. This half brought to you by A1 Freedom Bail Bonding. A1 Freedom Bail Bonding, 256-236-7888. First up this half, Zachary Fisher. Mr. Fisher, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. And meet Rebecca Snow. Miss Snow, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for probation violation on promoting prison contraband second. And this is Skylar Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on a probation violation for promoting prison contraband first. And take a look at Joseph Harris. Mr. Harris, last known to be living in Anniston, wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. And meet Julius Swink. Mr. Swink, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for a probation violation of possession of a controlled substance. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. Did you know where they are? And if you do, call the Sheriff's Office, call Lieutenant Fallon Hurst. You call, they haul. We are here with Susan Shipman, Executive Director of Second Chance.
Yes.
Second Chance, the domestic violence shelter, yes?
Yes, and sexual assault support services. We operate right now 2 emergency shelters. The larger shelter, the Joy Catherine Courtney House, sleeps 23 or 35 if we need to. Our smaller shelter, the Legacy House, is for older victims and victims with limited mobility issues. It's all ADA compliant and on one floor, and so it's easier for someone, for instance, in a wheelchair to get around in the Legacy House rather than the JKC House. And we've been at this for 35 years now and are celebrating an anniversary on May the 11th. It's a masquerade ball out at the Botanical Gardens. So we're really excited about that. The board has jumped in and taken this and taken off with it. And so if you haven't got your tickets yet, you need to do that or you won't get a ticket. They're selling out quickly. You do a Facebook search, Masquerade Ball Benefiting Second Chance in the event section.
Go to Facebook.
And you can find that, and you can pay with Cash App or Venmo if you need to pay with PayPal or Square. You're going to need to talk to me, and we can work that out, or by check or with cash. And so it's going to be a really amazing event.
And that's when?
It's on May the 11th from 6 until 11 at the Botanical Gardens in Anniston, in the museum complex.
In the museum complex.
Yes.
So that's good. So we were talking before the break about how victims can choose to go to the hospital right after it happened, and they can do an anonymous evidence gathering rape kit or not. They have that choice. And you know, Fallon, in investigating these things, yes, it's important to get their story as quickly as possible, but in trauma, we know that it takes a couple sleep cycles to actually remember the event.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a follow-up. Are you guys finding that in your investigations where you take the initial report and then you follow up a few days later?
Yeah, we do. We tend to, so we have a special investigator that he handles these specifically, these type of things. So we take the initial report, make contact, gather up just the basic information that we need to get to him, and then he coordinates that later if there is follow-up to get more information.
And that's very good. And do somewhere in this process, are you referring to, counseling for trauma therapy? down the road? a little
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
And we have an amazing counselor at Second Chance, and the services are all free. There's no cost for victims for our hospital advocacy or counseling or emergency shelter. And so we want everybody to be aware of that it's not going to cost you anything, and chances are it will help you. Sometimes coming into emergency shelter is important because the sexual assault occurred in the home of the victim, and while the Mr. Guy man or guy woman is still out there in the community, not been arrested yet, then they may not be safe at their home location and may need a place to go. And so we're there for them. Our crisis line number is 256-236-7233. That's 236-SAFE, or you can call 800-650-6522. Speak with one of the advocates, the victim's advocates that answers the telephone, and they can answer questions for the caller. And if you have a friend that needs some help, make that phone call to our crisis line and learn about the services that are available and how to access those.
And that's 24/7, that crisis line?
24/7, yes.
That's very helpful. So you guys, of course, respond to the initial crisis, and if they need a safe place to stay, you provide that too, and then counseling from the initial crisis through the investigation and maybe the court appearances and stuff.
Sure.
And down the road after that, because the trauma, when we work with trauma folks, you've got the initial trauma, but that trauma doesn't end really until you get to the other end of the entire process, because going to court, testifying, having to,
traumatic.
yeah, that is also the trauma. And I've found in the trauma people I work with that the event may have happened 2 years ago, but you're still going through disability, you're still going through hearings with insurance companies, and round and round and round, and you don't know what the damage is until you're done. And then that's when you can start doing the post-trauma work.
Absolutely.
So all that to get to my question, if somebody has gone through your services and has ended the trauma, they've gone to court, things from a court standpoint have worked out well, they're on their feet again, but they're still having post-trauma problems, can they still use your free counselor?
Oh, absolutely, for as long as they need. That's a decision that the counselor and the survivor will make, and not really for me to say. But
So even if, say, a survivor has moved to town, they've come from a different state and they've moved here to Anniston, and they watch the show and they hear about it, and they're like, it happened 5 years ago, and I think I still have some resistant trauma. Can they call you and set up a free appointment with your counselor?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so tell them that number again.
Sure. The crisis line number is 256-236-7233. That's 236-SAFE, or 800-650-6522. Both those numbers ring at the Joy Catherine Courtney House, our larger emergency shelter, and the victim's advocate that answers the telephone can answer any questions that the caller may have that's related to our services.
So regardless of where you are in your trauma, whether you think it can happen, whether it's presently happened, or if you're going through it, and all the way on up years down the road, they can call Second Chance and get services and assistance.
Absolutely.
That's remarkable. So tell us really quickly about the walk and the ball.
Okay, the walk is on Saturday the 15th at Chocolaca Park on Leon Smith Parkway in Oxford, and the 35th anniversary masquerade ball is on May the 11th from 6 until 11 at the Botanical Gardens. The walk is from 9 until 11 a.m.
Very good.
Good.
Well, so if you're interested in any of those things, contact Susan Shipman at Second Chance on Facebook, email, or telephone, and make arrangements to be there. And we want you to make arrangements to stay with us, because we've got the crazy criminal coming up here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask your help on the following cases. First up, on April 4th, 3 white males in a white newer model SUV were seen driving slowly in the Gladden Lane, Alexandria area. Now, these suspects entered a home without permission, claiming to be selling rugs. And between April 2nd and April 5th, Chosey Springs Baptist Church was burglarized. A Husqvarna gas weed trimmer, Husqvarna leaf blower, and an unknown amount of gasoline were all stolen from that church. And between March 29th and April 5th, catalytic converters were all stolen from various vehicles at the Alexandria Brake and Muffler Shop. And that's it for our Crime Stoppers cases. If you have any information on these cases, please call Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Fallon, as if the world wasn't crazy enough,
It's always crazy criminal time, right?
it's always crazy criminal time. So tell us what you got.
These two knuckleheads got themselves incarcerated in, I believe it was Newport News, Virginia, where the jail has really strong toothbrush, apparently. Is it toothbrush or teeth brush?
It's the toothbrushes would
So
be the plural.
they apparently used a modified toothbrush to tunnel out of the jail and successfully escaped, but were apprehended when they ran across the street to an IHOP and someone saw them, apparently in jail clothes.
Well, that's a clue.
It is a clue.
If you have an IHOP next to a jail, you probably brief your staff on how to
Yeah.
interview new employees as they come out of the escaping
Yes,
from the
that's
jail.
right.
So there was no outside
Don't apply
fence.
until you've bonded out.
That's correct. Proof of bond would be good. So there's no fence around this jail? Or did they tunnel under the fence with a modified toothpick?
I assume that they scaled the fence. I believe that's what it said.
They scaled the fence. That's a fancy word for climbing over a razor
the
wire.
fence, yeah.
That's pretty good. So modified toothbrush. You know, inmates are very clever. They
Are. They're if they would put their talents towards engineering, a lot of them would have successful lives.
Well, they would. You know, I remember when I was over there working in the jail, we had a water-powered tattoo gun.
Yep,
That
seen
was the
those.
first in the nation. I think we tried to document it where we could actually patent it, but it didn't work out. But but
We sell them on the jail store then.
we sell them. Yeah, so that's
Patent
good.
them and sell them in the
Patent
store.
them and sell them in the jail store. Your water-powered tattoo gun. It was ingenious.
Yeah,
it was
it'd have to
truly
be.
ingenious, and it's amazing how that spread throughout the whole country. So here at the end, are you guys still hiring?
Always.
Always
we're
hiring, so how do you
We're
do
always
that?
looking for good people. You can apply through our website at calcoso.org, at calcoso.org/careers. It'll come straight to my email.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You're the guy.
I'm the guy that'll get you to the other people.
Oh, you're the gatekeeper.
Sometimes I'm the guy, sometimes I'm
You're the
part of the
gatekeeper.
guys, sometimes I'm not the guy.
Any prerequisites?
No, don't have a felony, and we can deal with most other things. Just
High school education?
high school education.
GED, good enough?
GED.
Good,
We like
okay.
degrees, but degrees are not required.
All right. Well, if you're interested in a career change or a new job, call the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office for a new adventure in law enforcement. And tune in with us next week for the lineup, and maybe we'll see you again next week. I
Maybe.
don't know. We may see Fallon again, but not in the lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.